Whether you're just starting out on YouTube and filming in your bedroom, or you're a seasoned YouTuber looking to up your home studio game, I'm gonna share 8 home studio must-haves. These are things beyond the camera, mic, tripod, things that I would consider adding to your space to just make things a little bit easier and more productive. The first thing on my list is an overhead rig. If you want to get those nice top-down product shots, an overhead rig is probably something you're going to want to add to your studio. Now there's a couple of ways you can do this depending on the type of space you're working with. A couple of years ago, we built one out using pipes from Lowe's, and that was in our old filming room. But an alternative to this is a C-stand with a camera mount. This is a pretty portable option. It doesn't require any installation or open ceilings in your studio. And the other option is a boom arm with a counterweight and a light stand. This is how I have my overhead rig rigged up. So I use a Manfrotto friction arm attached to a clamp. Now the ceilings in my studio are open, so I can clamp that to the rafters in the ceiling, which makes mounting an overhead rig anywhere in the space super easy. Now I have a generic camera attachment head on the friction arm, but there's a couple accessories that I use depending on the type of video I'm shooting. So if I'm just shooting a normal video with a shotgun mic, then I have a GorillaPod 5K ball head attached to the camera mount, and then I have the plate for the GorillaPod attached to this little hot shoe adapter, which I use to mount my shotgun mic to the friction arm. Now this allows me to use the ball head to position the mic wherever I want to position it, and I find it super handy. The other setup that I tend to use if I have a camera mounted up there and I'm shooting audio, I'll mount the camera to the 5K GorillaPod head. So the reason why I chose the 5K GorillaPod head is because it's compatible with the Peak Design plates that I have on every single camera that I own. So it makes it super easy when I'm rigging things up. I can just pop any camera up there without having to change plate. If I'm shooting an overhead shot and I have to rig up a mic, I'll attach my camera with the Peak Design plate on the GorillaPod tripod head. And so now that's up there on a ball head and I can move it and position it how I like. And then to mount the mic up there, I'll actually mount it to the camera, but I'll use this little LCD monitor cold shoe adapter. And I think it's normally used for like LCD monitors, but I use it for my mic. I mount it on the hot shoe, and then that has its own ball head, and then I attach the mic to that, and then I can kind of reposition that how I like, and then I'll feed that audio right into the overhead rig so I don't have any wires hanging down. We'll do a nice clap, we'll sync the audio, and then we have 2 angles with nice clean audio right above my face. All the links to the things that I talk about in today's video are on our website, beckyandchris.com/blog. We basically write articles for every video that we make with links and pictures and things, so check it out. Link is in the description box, and it's also up here. The second thing on my list is Gaff Tape. This is a must-have, and the uses are endless. Here are a couple of my favorite ways to use Gaff Tape. Taping down buttons and zippers when we're at the slat wall set so they don't knock on the table. Taping paper to my desk as a temporary backdrop. Taping cables and extension cords to the floor so nobody trips on them, and literally any shitty rig you can think of. I used tape to mock up this wall, just taped everything up and then hammered everything in place. Number 3 on my list is squeeze clamps and bongo ties. These kind of go hand in hand. I have one drawer dedicated to both squeeze clamps and bongo ties. So I have a number of different size squeeze clamps ranging from large to tiny, depending on what I need them for. The large ones I use to mount things to the joists of my studio. And then bongo ties are just great for, you know, cable management. Number 4 on the list is a 5-in-1 reflector. Now, some of you might actually already have one of these laying around and you might be thinking, what do I even do with this thing? A 5-in-1 reflector has so many different uses, but my favorite use is to use it as a second light source. We actually made a video a little while ago about how to get the most out of your one light setup. So I'll link that video up here, but we love it for a clamshell look. We love it to add a fill light to make it look like you have 2 lights, even if you only have 1. It's great for a backdrop, a reflector. It's great for a giant diffusion panel. And these things come in a few different sizes. I actually have a large one and a small one. And I have a reflector arm that mounts onto a light stand so that I can mount that reflector or diffusion panel wherever I want in the studio. Oftentimes it's just me shooting, so having this little arm is super handy when it comes to setting up a reflector to shoot a subject with no assistant. Number 5 on the list is good lighting. I don't know why, but it seems like everyone neglects lighting. We care a lot about making our videos look good, but then like we don't really care about audio, and then we don't really care about lighting. But lighting is actually actually one of the most important parts when it comes to making videos and upping your production value. So I'm gonna break down 2 lighting setups here at 2 different price points. These are very basic, but just to kind of get you started. So the first option here is a Aperture 120D with a large light dome on the front. This just softens the light, makes a nice big soft light source, super flattering. So the price point here, by the time you add in the Aperture 120D, the softbox, the light stand, you're looking at about $1,000. I find a softbox like this looks the best. It gives you the most flattering light, but a similar look can be achieved with a shoot-through umbrella. So here's a more affordable option. This is the Aperture 200D with a shoot-through umbrella mounted and a light stand on it. And I think you could probably get away with this setup for less than $400. I will write here once I do the calculation to see if that price point is correct. You can really get good looking light. It's all about how you place it. So do a little bit of research, check out some of our lighting videos, and learn how to light your shots. You can get a lot out of one light. So before we move on, I want to take a quick 30 seconds to sponsor my own video and just talk quickly about our S-Log2 and S-Log3 utility LUTs. Chris and I created a set of utility LUTs to convert S-Log footage to Rec. 709. We've got 3 different conversions: the original Becki and Chris S-Log2 LUT, the Color Noise Fix LUT for 8-bit cameras, and our S-Log3 for the A7S III LUT. We made a full video and blog post outlining how to use these LUTs and how to set up your camera to get the most out of these LUTs. So if you want to check those out, they're linked in the description box and also linked up here. I'm probably out of cards by this point. Let's move on to the must-haves. Okay, number 6 must-haves in your home studio is storage and organization. It is essential if you are building out a home studio, or any studio really, to include storage and organization. Of course, what you include in your space is gonna depend on your space entirely. You might not have a lot of room for a lot of drawers and cabinets, but if you do have a lot of room, then you might wanna build out an entire, keep hitting that plant, you might wanna build out an entire wall of storage. So here are a few examples of storage and organization that I've included in our studio. The first one is the charge wall. We made a full video and blog post about this. Link it up here. If there's no room, it's in the description box. This is super handy for charging things on the fly. It's supposed to be a little bit messy. Plug in things, let things charge on the wall, and then when you need a battery, you can go over there and take it out. Another example of this is the Cido? I don't know how to say it. These crate bins, I ordered them on the internet. They are kind of expensive, but they have a mat on the bottom, dividers, and a lid that's clear. So I find these super handy because sometimes you just throw everything in a box and stuff gets really lost, but the fact that these have dividers allows me to have organization within the storage, which is super handy when you're doing photo and video and you have all these little tiny pieces that tend to get lost. And it's easy and nice and super handy to have organization within the storage. And the last example I'll give you is drawers. I have a couple of IKEA dressers that I had left over from our last apartment, and then I just ran them along the wall here. They're small drawers, but they're fine for like pens, markers, gels, cables, things like that. So drawers are another good way to add organization and storage to your studio. Okay, number 7 is a work table or a desk on wheels. And I didn't know the importance of this until I rearranged my office last year, and I sold Chris's Fully desk, brought it to the studio, ordered wheels for it, and it is so handy to be able to move the table around the studio depending on where I want to shoot. If we're shooting at the slat wall, that table stays there most of the time. But if we want to shoot B-roll against this white wall here, then I can just roll that over here and use it. It's super handy. Now that table also is a sit-stand desk, which makes it very, very handy when it comes to shooting top-down shots. I can just move the desk up and down instead of repositioning my camera every time I want to change the field of view. And the last on my list, you're probably gonna be like, that is not necessary, but trust me, if you have dark furniture, you're gonna want this. This is a handheld vacuum with an upholstery attachment. Now, if you guys watch this channel, if you watch our podcast, Tuxedo Time, we have a navy velvet couch, and that couch is a magnet for hairs, fur, fuzz, dust, and you can really see it on camera because of how dark that couch is, and usually fuzz is white, so there's high contrast there. So I use this upholstery attachment on the handheld vacuum to vacuum the couch. I've gotten a lot of questions in the past about how I deal with dust, and all I can say is dust happens. You have to be cleaning regularly, vacuuming, wiping down your surfaces, or else dust is going to build up. It's just part of life. So this might seem super obvious to some of you, but apparently other people, it's not, so you have to clean your space. This little handheld tabletop vacuum is not a replacement for a floor vacuum. If you're gonna be doing your floors, you wanna get a proper floor vacuum depending on what kind of flooring you're gonna be vacuuming. So that is my 8 home studio must-haves beyond just the camera, mic, tripod. I hope you guys found this video helpful. Again, all of the products that I've talked about in today's video are linked on our website, beckyandchris.com. I will link it in the description box. And if you wanna check out those utility LUTs I talked about, they are also down below. And if you do buy them and use them, tag me in your before and afters, Twitter, Instagram. Would love to see what you're doing with them. Okay, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one. I really need an Allen key to fix my bench. It's a squeaking.